Welcome to the Town of the Rain of the Heavens first broadcast. I'm your host, Keith, and we have Tony. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
And this is going to be much like an informal broadcast. We're just going to be talking a little bit about the Town of the Rain of the Heavens, what it is. The name is a little confusing for a lot of people because they believe it's something that it's actually not. We actually had one California police officer say it had the Rain of the Heavens had something to do with Middle Earth. So in order to resolve a lot of those issues, many ask, what is the Rain of the Heavens? Now, the Rain of the Heavens was actually a country. It was a country that was started about a little over 2,000 years ago. And many people believe that the kingdom of heaven was what it was actually called. It was actually called the Reign of the Heavens. It's actually a physical country. If you go down or go over to Town of the Rain of the Heavens, which is an actual town, it's not an online town. It's not a virtual town. It does actually exist. There's right now it's about 2.1 acres, and it's getting ready to expand a little bit more. It's in the Mississippi area, and you can go to Town of the Rain of the Heavens and go take a look at the National Great Registry. I have the links are all there, so everybody who wants to see it, they can. The Rain of the Heavens. What was I saying, Tony? About the Rain of the Heavens.
Right. And you were talking about how it's referred to as the kingdom of heaven, which is either an accidental or deliberate misinterpretation.
Right. And if you go to the Town of the Rain of the Heavens website, you can see our video right on front. It's about, 5-10 minutes long?
That's right.
That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
So we're not a bunch of crazy kooks, and we're not a bunch of people that believe that the Rain of the Heavens is a city in the sky, nor do we believe that it's a planet coming to destroy the Earth. It's an actual country. We have to clear that up for a lot of people because they do have issues with it, and they think it's religious. When you say the word heavens, they automatically think it's some kind of a religion or some other cult that just started up or anything of that nature. And what we did was we claimed that country. Literally claimed it. There was claimants in that country. There's about 9 or 10 of us. After it was discovered, we sent the claim and published the claim. We sent the claim over to the the Bureau on Private International Law at The Hague. And we waited 90 days for anyone else in the world to object to it.
And since it is a physical place, it also has a survey. So on part of that claim, you have the actual survey of the Reign of the Heavens.
Correct, and it was an overlay. Somebody put explain surveys a little bit. When you look at a bed that you sleep in and there's no covers on it, that's just one survey. When you overlay it, means you put sheets on top of it. Now it's a bed with sheets. If you overlay it with blankets, now you have a overlaid bed with sheets and blanket. And once that happens, first it's a bed, then it becomes a made-up bed, or did you make your bed type thing. Did you cover your bed? So when you have an overlay survey, it's the same thing. You can have the survey of a land, and then you overlay it with a name. Was originally called Nebulun, and what was the other one?
Naphtali.
Naphtali, thank you. And that was Nebulun and Naphtali, I'm sorry. And that was the tribes that were there back in the day. And there was an overlay survey, and it was now called the Reign of the Heavens. They renamed the country was renamed by Yahushua. And it was literally an actual country. The whole thing is set up in Matthew, and if people read Matthew, when you read the Bible in Matthew, people think, oh, that's religious again. It's not. It's actually, it was a real literal country. So now that you can take a look at that, go look for it, go look at it yourself. There's a book called The Scriptures, and there was a book, had about 40 scholars that interpreted or translated the book from Paleo-Hebrew, which was the language at the time, and where they didn't have the Paleo-Hebrew, they went to the Greek. So they do tell you that in the book itself. But that's where the name of the country was actually discovered. And if you had not built a nation before, you would never have discovered that. It was hidden right in plain sight. Most of the people today have inherited their country, or they inherited their town. They don't know how to build them or start a new one. And that's what the town of the Reign of the Heavens does. That's what the Reign of the Heavens does, that country, and that's what the government of the United States of America does. We build towns and cities and things like that. We do them. We build them legally, and there's certain processes that you have to go through in order to get it done. And once we do, you've got yourself a town. So the town of the Reign of the Heavens is not developed yet. There's no buildings on it yet. It's brand new, and it was actually what people today would call a residential area in Laurel County, or the Laurel, Mississippi area. And we're getting ready to develop that into a actual little town. Now, once the charter is written, to just give you a little bit of an idea, once the charter is written and the individuals that own the property adopt the charter, or they sell their property to the charter, the property becomes public property. It goes from private to public. We can get into a little bit more about that later on, because we do have a somewhat of a plan to help the United States of America and the states within it to change their destiny. And there's a really good, peaceful way of doing it. And that's dealing with talking about towns. And how to rebuild them, and how to start them, and how to change them, and how to get a charter, and all that kind of thing. So that's going to take a few broadcasts, and we're not going to be able to get that in one broadcast. On this broadcast, what we would like to do is talk about a little bit about private membership associations, which is a held secret of the country, or of the company. Now, when I refer to a company on this call, I'm referring to a broadcast. I'm referring to the United States company, which a lot of people believe is a country, but it's not literally a country. It's a private company doing business as a government and controlled by foreign interests. So what they did is they came in, and this was after the Civil War, they came in and started changing everything up, how the country was reformed. They created their own little union, and then they created all their own little stuff, and then they started running the country as they see fit. And as long as you have other people running your country, especially foreign interests, you're always going to get the crap end of the stick, regardless of what you believe or what you think or what they tell you. You'll always get the bad end of any deal. Take a look at all the deals that private company has made in the past 100 years, and how well is that doing for you? How many times have you had to bail them out of problems that they caused? How many times have you had to bail out the bank, bail out this, bail out that, fix this problem, fix that problem? This was a catastrophe. That's a catastrophe. This is a disaster. That's a disaster. It's been going on for 100 years, if not more, just after the Civil War. I'll be right back. Sorry for that delay. Forgot to turn the phone off. So what we have here is a lot of people don't understand that the United States itself is a literal country, and it does have territory, but it's not the 50 states of the Union. Let me say that again. The United States is a literal country. It is a country, but it's not the 50 states of the Union. The United States is Manhattan Island. It always has been. And we'll get into that later. We'll get into that in future episodes. I'm trying to let you know what we're going to be covering on these broadcasts. You can share with your friends and help them understand and change their perception of the country itself, of the United States of America, the country itself, the 50 states of the Union, made up into one country, which was called the United States of America. Now, back to private membership associations. The reason why we brought this up is because I brought up the fact that the United States is a foreign country to the United States of America, that it is, in fact, Manhattan Island itself, which has always been foreign, and the only ones that don't know that are the United States citizens or U.S. citizens. They don't know that's always been a foreign country to the states of the Union, meaning Georgia, Florida, Texas, Minnesota. Is they have a particular case and it's been put in place. It's called Marbury versus Madison. Now, Tony, this is where I was going to have you start talking about this a little bit, where the interpretation of the Constitution, not how it was written, but the interpretation of the Constitution was the law of the land, according to them.
The supreme law of the land.
Yeah, they claim it. They always do that. Manhattan Island always claims something that's always supreme. They put these words in there, and this is the supreme law of the land. So the interpretation, so what they say it is what it is, not what it actually says. And there's about, what, 70 cases?
There are just over 70 U.S. Supreme Court decisions that basically say that one can operate in the private domain and be outside the jurisdiction of all state and federal authorities, including law enforcement, and there's no cases to the contrary.
So say that one more time so everybody can listen. Listen to that carefully.
So there are just over 70 U.S. Supreme Court decisions that say that one can operate in the private domain and be outside the jurisdiction of all state and federal authorities and law enforcement, and there's no cases to the contrary.
Okay, so why hasn't anybody heard of this, right? Well, how is a man that makes his money on controversy and charges, criminal charges and things like that, why would he tell you that there's a private domain where you can go, or he can't go there? He won't make any money on it.
That's right.
And there's only one thing, or one act, or a series of acts, let's put it that way, that will break or allows the public domain to invade, for the lack of a better term, the private domain. And what are those, Tony?
Can you repeat that again?
There's a certain acts where you can be investigated, you can be indicted, tried, all these things.
Oh, okay. So in the private domain, you are outside the jurisdiction, as mentioned, from state, federal, and law enforcement. However, if in the private domain you are causing clear and present danger or substantive evil, then in the private domain may be investigated and prosecuted for violation of nefarious acts.
And nefarious acts are evil: murder, rape, kidnapping, child molestation, human trafficking. Okay? So these are the things you can't do. So if you're doing something like free energy, okay, just keep in mind that we do have to say this, okay, since you're not members of any private membership association that we're part of, we do have to say that we're not licensed attorneys, and what we're saying on here is not substituted for a licensed attorney. So
that's correct.
That's all we have to say, and now that's it. Okay, so we can publicly broadcast that, and that's it. Now, keep in mind that publicly, if you're doing business with the public, and let's say you're a doctor, a dentist, or you're a guy that loves to study law, and whatever, and you just kind of help people, and if they come in off the street and you're just doing it, you can get nailed for what they call practicing law without a license. I think it carries like 5 years. However, if you have a private membership association, you have the right to do that, and that's actually protected.
If we can back up just one step, and what we're talking about here is the biggest kept secret in the legal field, and that is that there's a public domain and a private domain. And in the private domain, we just discussed how you have the right to that private domain. And the public domain, in the public domain, you have to be licensed, you follow registrations, regulations, etc. And if you don't, there are severe criminal penalties and even jail time. And that's what that's the step I wanted to make sure that people understand, that there's two domains here, a public and a private. In the public, you're regulated, and if you don't follow those rules and regulations, you're going to have severe criminal penalties. And depending on how you form your private domain, in this case an association, and we can get into why you have that right, but in the private domain, you decide what legal structure, what the legal...
Right,
yeah.
What you operate under, how you operate.
That's right. Thank you.
If you decide the rules of which you operate. Now, as long as those rules do not result in any type of nefarious or evil act, nothing anybody can do. The members can't even sue you, because it's all done by contract. So you decide, say you're doing alternative energy, and you have a device that you would like to sell. There's nothing wrong with that. However, maybe the energy companies don't like what you're doing. Maybe somebody doesn't like what you're doing. Maybe somebody feels threatened about what you're doing. So, easiest way to do that is to start a private membership association, grant that product to the association, from its owner and who created it, grant all the copyrights to the association, you can grant all these things to the association, and then you turn around and you say, hey folks, would you like to be a member of ABC Energy Co-op? They say, yeah, what do we do here? What do you do there? Well, what I do is I sell energy devices that will save you thousands of dollars a year on your energy on your energy needs. But I only sell it to members. So it's going to be $10 to be a member, and then I'll sell that product to you if you want. And here are the terms and conditions of which I'm selling it to you. Under this contract here, sign here, and you can have the energy device. Perfectly, absolutely legal. Not one regulation, not one law, not one anything applies to that certain type of transaction and that certain type of setup. Did I miss anything?
No, that's pretty much it. And I mean, people see different forms of private memberships associations on a daily basis, such as Costco's or Sam's Clubs, or even AAA is a private membership association where it has members, and members pay a fee for either a discount in fees, in services or products, or there's a it's included in the membership fee, whatever, but those are some of the examples that you might see on a daily basis.
Visa, MasterCard.
Yep.
DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles.
That's right.
That's a private membership association. Those associations are protected by the 1st, 5th, and 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. It has been proven over and over and over again and again and again. When states come against private membership associations, they always lose. If, in fact, there were no nefarious acts happening or going on, and the individual that owns the private membership association, which, by the way, can be incorporated or unincorporated, is not doing business with the public. They're only doing business with their members. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to end this here, now that we have your attention. We're going to end this program here, and we'll talk about it in a little while. We need to get some feedback. We would like for people to ask some questions, and we're going to get you started on this road. And then once you understand private membership associations, you're going to fully understand the town of the Rain of the Heavens and how it operates. Even though it's it is a public town, you're going to see, you get a better understanding of how to possibly one day create your own town. And I know that sounds crazy right now, but it can absolutely happen very easily. So, Tony, would you like to be on the next broadcast?
Yes, I would like that very much.
Okay, so you'll see a Town of the Rain of the Heavens broadcast to be sometime within the next week. We'll make sure that we'll start a schedule. We're going to have to start realigning our schedule since it's the first one. With all of the responsibilities we have, it's very difficult to get our schedules right. But what we're going to do is possibly maybe make this a Sunday evening thing or a Wednesday evening thing. Does that sound all right with you?
Yep, that'll work. Either of those days.
And we'll come back and we'll talk about this a little bit more. And there are some sources that we have that do sell private membership associations. which, by the way, can cost up to $26,000 because of the actual legal protections that it has, and as low as $6,000. But there's another little private membership association that sells them for a whole lot less, and will give you a generic set of articles. So we'll talk about that the next time we come on. So thank you for joining and listening to the Town of the Rain in the Heavens broadcast, and we will see you next week.